It is now after Memorial Day in the United States, which means that, according to the fashion police, it's okay to wear white. So I've decided to revisit one of the more popular build themes that I've explored in the past, and that's a white build. When I did my last white build, the 1070 Ti and B360 motherboards were all the rage, but a year later and every part of our build has been upgraded. So let's see what kind of performance we get from our white system this time around. If you've been searching for that final piece for your show build, look no further than Thermaltake's new Water Ram DDR4. The low-profile 3200 speed DIMMs look great in any configuration, but the RGB magic really happens when you attach the included custom water block. Compatible with Thermaltake's extensive RGB ecosystem and Amazon Alexa, Water Ram is a true eye-catcher that will make your system stand out from the crowd. So check out the link below to learn more. We might as well start our look at the components with the most important one for any white build, and that's the case. We'll be building today in the new Inwin 103 White Edition chassis, a relatively compact ATX mid-tower design with some of Inwin's signature features like the top-mounted power supply, toolless tempered glass side panel, and right side exhaust. Unlike last time when our case was a custom powder-coated 570X, not everything on here is 100% white, so we probably won't get quite the same pure white look as before, but I don't think that will hurt the build in any significant way. We still have a white exterior and a white motherboard tray, so I have high hopes for what we end up with. I ran a poll on Twitter for you guys without any context, where I asked you to choose between the 9700K and the 9600K, and in all honesty, that was supposed to help me decide which processor to use in this build. But even though the 9700K won handily, I'm going to completely ignore you guys and go with the 9600K. Sorry about that. I haven't built with one in a while, and the last white build also used an i5, so let's let the tradition continue. The motherboard that I'll be dropping it into is the Asus Prime Z390A. Again, not quite entirely white, but it has enough white features on it where it should blend in nicely, along with a couple of lighting zones that we can configure. I did consider going with the same motherboard as last time, but I did want to be able to overclock our 9600K, so the B360 Gaming Arctic was unfortunately out of the question. Now, keeping the 9600K cool will be the job of Corsair's H100i RGB Platinum SE cooler, an all-white take on the classic H100i. It comes with two of Corsair's LL120 White Edition fans, and I have more on hand right over there to fill out the rest of the case if needed. A 240mm AIO should be plenty for our 6-core chip with no hyperthreading, and the LL120 White Edition fans move a lot of air, so hopefully thermals inside of our case will be kept in check. Memory was also a pretty easy choice, as Corsair makes some of the nicest DIMMs around, and their Vengeance Pro RGB memory comes in a matte white finish. This is a 4x8GB kit of DDR4 3200, and to cover up as much of those black DIMM slots on the motherboard as possible, we will be using all 4 sticks in our build. Now, the graphics card du jour again was a fairly easy choice. There are unfortunately very few white GPUs available, and most of them come from Galax at this point, but the one exception is this Gigabyte RTX 2080 model. This is the gaming OC White, and it comes with a nice factory overclock, a triple fan cooler design that kind of calls back to old WindForce models, and a matte white metal backplate. Cooler Master sent over their new 650 watt, 80 plus gold rated, fully modular power supply for this build, so we'll be putting it through its paces today. I never really have very much to say about power supplies unless they blow something up, so let's just hope that that doesn't happen. I decided to stick with NVMe storage for this project, but as with all of my monthly builds, storage is by far the most customizable option. I might choose to use the most expensive 2TB NVMe SSD, but you'd get the same performance in gaming by using a 5400 RPM hard drive. Things would just take longer to load. Pick what fits your budget, your I/O configuration, and your space needs, and also your case, I guess, but this is a personal decision for you guys. And we'll be topping it off with a set of all-white cable extensions from my buddy Joey over at NSource Customs. This is probably the 4th or maybe the 5th time that I've used these in a build, so Joey, you're welcome. I'll expect that kickback in my PayPal by the end of the week. Build time. we're all wrapped here, and as I hope you guys could see from those glamour shots, this is one sexy build. As I thought might happen, there is just a bit more black in here than I originally wanted. However, the white lighting and especially the cabling help offset that by quite a bit. I think I give this build a 7 out of 10, with 10 being 100% white. Not bad. The build went smoothly enough. Inwin's cases are always well thought out space-wise. I do wish there were a few more openings to route cables through, however, as the EPS cable had to make a pretty long journey across the top, and the same thing with the front panel connectors and the USB 2.0 cables at the bottom. This made things just a little bit sloppy, but I was able to tuck most of it away. I did run into a few issues with the SSD that I chose, so I had to swap it out for a different drive. For some reason, the BIOS didn't recognize it, and I couldn't manage to install Windows at all, even after updating drivers and whatnot. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I'll be trying to retest that SSD at a later time and see if I could fix it or figure out what was going on. Thermally, we were in really good shape. I let Unigine Heaven loop on 4K and Ultra settings for about a half an hour or so, and temps leveled off at 73C for the GPU and around 60C for the CPU. Of course, Heaven isn't the most taxing program on a CPU, but with 40 degrees to spare before we get to the point of throttling, I think we were in fine shape, and the H100i was doing exactly what we wanted it to do. The fans did ramp up quite a bit after running Heaven for a while, and with a max rating of 2200 RPM on those fans, the CPU may have stayed cool, but things did get a little noisy. I went into the Corsair iCUE software and adjusted the fan curve just a bit, and I'm much happier with the result now, as I don't even think the mic is picking up any sound from these, probably more just from my dog chewing on a bone over there. We got our standard RTX 2080 performance out of the Gigabyte card, and with the 9600K clocked at 5 GHz on all cores, it certainly wasn't holding back our gaming benchmarks. I also overclocked the graphics card 100 MHz on the core and 900 MHz on the memory, on top of how it comes from the factory. As a result, I saw sustained GPU clocks over 2 GHz even after that half-hour soak, which is definitely impressive. So our white build 2019 is complete. What do you guys think? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments right after you like and subscribe. Don't forget that if you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos, like the one that I just released comparing the entire NVIDIA product stack of Turing graphics cards, please be sure to hit that little bell down there. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.